Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Affinity webinar with the team Nearshore and Culture. To start, I would like to thank you for your interest and for making the time to be present today in this discussion about the importance of culture in nearshore technological projects. Among our registered participants, we have some current clients and present and former employees, and it is always a pleasure and a big delight to walk side by side. So thank you and welcome, everyone. For today's event, we will count with the participation of Philomène, Director of Inward Investment at AICEP, Ferry Meijndert, CEO at Evidence, Pedro Esteves, our Delivery Manager in one of Affinity's key nearshore operations, and Pais Correia, our CEO and co-founder, that will close the event with some practical advice for when you are actually considering a nearshore partnership. So in a ever more globalized reality, nearshoring is becoming a popular practice in technological projects. And for those of you to whom this concept is new, nearshore means outsourcing specific business activities to a specialized company in a neighboring or geographically close country. And as in all partnerships, communication, trust becomes key in building and ensuring successful long-term partnerships and cooperation between people and companies. Apart from the advantage of sharing a similar time zone, choosing the right partner to outsource IT projects can also bring up the importance of culture. And that is exactly what we will try to discuss today and comprehend, and assessing how culture impacts decision-making in the moment of choosing an IT partner, and how can we effectively create bridges and lead thriving nearshore operations. During this webinar, feel free to write down any questions you may have in the chat box. We will address them at the end of the webinar in order for all the speakers to be able to give their insights at their proper timing. But feel free to put the notes and then we'll direct them in the end. So to start our discussion, I would like to welcome Philomène from AICEP. She will be the one inaugurating our digital stage with an overview of the Portuguese technological scene. So welcome, Philomène. Thank you for accepting our invitation, first of all.
Thank you, Inês. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for AICEP to participate in this webinar and to share our insight with the Affinity community. And it's a pleasure also to meet Ferry. It's the first time. So the objective of my, so maybe a quick presentation about AICEP. AICEP, we are the Trade Investment Promotion Agency, so a Portuguese agency, and we promote investment to foreign investors, trying to convince them to look at Portugal and to consider Portugal as a location for the new project. So I will share my presentation. I hope you can see my screen. Okay, you can see, Inês, if you could confirm
yes,
it. Okay,
yes.
okay, thank you,
Perfect.
Inês. So Portugal, right choice. We used to say right time, but also right talent, and because it's all about talent, and we will see also with the next intervention. But in the last time have seen significant change in the Portuguese economic scene. Different company decided to look at Portugal and to install and to develop their competence centers in Portugal, Lisbon, Porto, but other cities also. And we can see that as a global recognition in some international press. So the FDI Intelligence magazine, local talent is also laying the foundation. TechCrunch early this year, Lisbon startup since rise as Portugal's gears up to the European tech tiger. The French Les Echos, comment le Portugal cultive son identité tech nation. So we can see in different countries the recognition of Portugal as a tech nation, tech hub destination, but also a company, Critical Tech Works, partnership between the BMW Group and the Portuguese Critical Software, and that decided to locate in Porto and in Lisbon competence centers. The Brazilian CIT also decided to locate in Lisbon competence centers, and both point out the quality of universities, technological schools, and talent. So it's all about people and the talent and the qualification, but it's not only qualifications, it's culture. How the people do business, how the people work together, and how people and talented people exchange between the different teams. So just to share some operation that recently decided to choose Portugal to locate the data hub. In 2020, the German Enfund company opens an IT development center in Lisbon. Springer Nature in 2022 opens an IT hub in Lisbon for software development, business analytics. Mercedes-IO in 2018 decided to locate the digital delivery hub. In 2021 decided to expand it. So with the success of the operation. Siemens is in Portugal with competence centers for many years. I will say it's one of the first, and they have been increasing the scope of the competence centers and cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and robotics. Already mentioned BMW. Microsoft also expanded in Lisbon in 2020 the language algorithm development centers. Volkswagen. And very recently, TeamViewer decided to open a new research and development in Porto. What TeamViewer did is first to buy a Portuguese startup and then to expand the operation. So as you can see, we have companies from automotive sectors, from ICT, from Spring Nature for international publication, scientific publication. So different activity sectors, industrial equipment for Siemens that decided to look at Portugal and to install in Portugal. And what they were looking for is talent people in the IT area to ensure that they can shift and move into the fast digital transition. Just to have an overview in terms of numbers, so we have more than 110 foreign operation based in Portugal. This number is the operation that international company that have competence center in Portugal, and from Portugal they serve international market or they global companies. More than 30,000 employees. So we are not considering all the IT companies that are working for the local market. So these numbers really for international markets. Lisbon is in terms of location is the number one, but just after we had Porto, a strong also sectors, and other cities. Leiria, Vila Real, Fundão, so Évora, we can see other cities that are increasing, Aveiro, Braga, for sure, and we have a large list of companies that are there. And why they decided to locate in Portugal. First, I will say it's the location, and you mentioned it, Inês, at the start of the nearshore, to be close to the headquarters, to be close to the teams, to exchange, to promote, to develop, and to change some businesses. So we are in the European markets, we have a lot, and we have seen at the reference I mentioned, a lot of European companies, but not only US companies also, in a way that they choose to be in Europe, they choose to be in Portugal to attract talent, and from Portugal to serve better the European market, but so also the US. And Portugal is a safe location. Okay, it's very important when we are speaking about talent, about people, to be safe. And with the COVID also pandemia, it's very important to have reliable operation. And Portugal stands in the fourth position in terms of global peace index. In terms of data protection, nowadays everything is remote, so we need to ensure that all the connections are secure, and Portugal also ranks well in this area in global cyber security index and the political and social stability. It's very important to have teams in a country that is safe and stable. So our first asset, talent. So people, talent, high qualified people. We have a strong university systems with a large number of students studying in the area of scientific, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the number of students studying this area is increasing from the previous year. In terms of number of people employed in the ICT employed specialists, also we have more than 190,000 people in Portugal, the last numbers from the Eurostat, and more than 60% with higher education. And we have seen an increase in the last 5 years of more than 40% of ICT employed specialists in Portugal. So the talent pool is increasing. We have a strong, qualified and skilled talent pool, and is increasing. And we have in Portugal, in Europe, we are the first country in Europe with the highest rate of engineering graduates in the total graduates. So a number to demonstrate how the number of graduates in this area is important in Portugal. The quality of English, because when we are international operation, we need to exchange with foreign people, and Portugal has a very high proficiency in English. We are able also to attract foreign students, and the number is increasing from one year to another one. More than 15% of foreign students are foreign in the last university years. And what is important also, and the key questions about talent, access to talent, is also all the measures, the development that have been made to increase the number of students in this area, but also the upskill program to train people in this area that are needed for companies. And innovation, if we look at companies and the websites when they are hiring in the career webpage, and they all say culture, they develop culture. And what they say, we want to empower people, we want to invent, we want to explore. And to do that, you need to have entrepreneurs. And in Portugal, we rank very well in innovation, and our startup ecosystem is very powerful, is very dynamic. We have more than 2,000 startups in Portugal in 2020, more than 1/3 is tech industry. And it's very important for a company to rely on this ecosystem, because startups are the source of innovation, but they are also source of talent. And they are very important also to spread entrepreneurship and innovative culture and open mindset and international culture. Because the Portuguese market is not a large market, the European market is larger. So when Portuguese startups starts, what they want is to scale up the business at international scale. So very, very international mindset. And we have, as an example, we have 4 Portuguese tech unicorns, Farfetch, Feedzai, OutSystem, Talkdesk, all in, I will say, tech industry, tech area, even if they are acting in different sectors. And also about nearshoring, and to be close, it's very important to rely on strong infrastructure. Airport infrastructure, to be at 2 hours flight distance to Berlin, to London, to Paris. But with the COVID and the remote working, it's very important to have a very strong telecommunication networks. And Portugal, we have it, and we have seen that with the COVID and the transition from the work from the office to the remote work. And I will say maybe Affinity and Evident can share that, but it was easy and very fast to move from the office to the remote work without any interruption in terms of services and to service to our clients. So just some data and rankings that demonstrate how Portugal performs well in this area. So connectivity about telecommunication, but connectivity also flight air connectivity with the two international airports, Lisbon and Porto, that turn closer Lisbon and Porto to our major headquarter country of origin of the headquarters of the companies. And at the end of the day, what we need is to ensure that our talent, our people have a nice and very high quality of life. It's very important for the locals, but also to attract the best talent. And we have seen that for international operation is very important, the local talent, but also to be attractive, to attract the best international talent. And Portugal, we have this very high quality of life. In terms of tourism, we have won several awards, and we have been elected as Europe's leading destination in 2020. In 2019, the world's leading destination. So it's a clear demonstration of what you can find there in Portugal. And in terms of expat, we are the third world's best quality of life country for expat. In terms of attractiveness, also we have an expat tax regime. So expat that high qualified expat that come to Portugal can benefit from a very attractive flat rate tax income, and the tech visa also to help company to attract talent in non-European countries in high qualified skills and to speed up the process to obtain a visa. So all of it and what I mentioned since the beginning of the presentation, it's all about talent. It's all about people, to have the local and the right talent to develop the operation from Portugal, and to ensure that these people and this talent will work with international team, will exchange, will develop, will invent, will make all the transition that is needed in these uncertainty times, but also to be to ensure that we have a very high quality of life country, to ensure that people at the end of the day they are very happy. It's very difficult to do very good job if you don't have a very attractive environment. So that's it, Portugal, that's our talent, that's our culture, and for sure is the success, is the key of the success of all those international operations that are deciding to choose Portugal. So that's what I wanted to share today, Inês.
Thank you very much, Philomène. It was a really nice presentation and a great way to start our webinar with this clear picture of Portugal as a rising and an attractive tech destination. I'll now invite Ferry, Meijndert, CEO of Evident, and one of our long-term clients to join us and help us better assess the importance of a cultural alignment, open communication, and culture in general in long-term nearshore partnerships. Welcome, Ferry. Thank you for accepting our invitation also. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Inês. Thanks for the invitation, and always willing to talk as an evangelist for Portugal, because I love the country. And it also feels good to share you guys a little bit more about our business, our journey in Lisbon.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. First, I want to start off with a little bit about Evident. I will keep that short because I really want to focus and go a little bit in depth in the culture that we created in our Lisbon office. And of course, which is also a mirror of the culture that we see here in our Dutch office. So Evident is a digital consultancy. We've been around for more than 20 years. But what we exactly do is that we help B2B companies create their digital future. We are active all over Europe. We work for very big clients. Examples of those clients, for example, are Van der Lande Industries, multi-billion euro manufacturer. Nobody heard of them, most likely. But if you're in an airport and you're waiting for your baggage, please look down, because most of the baggage belt systems and transport and logistics systems are made by Van der Lande. Other example is Atlas Copco, a 10 billion euro plus manufacturer worldwide, doing a lot around compression technology. So what do we do for these clients? We help them in their digital transformation, transforming the way how they sell and deliver their products and services. So we build large digital platforms for them to do their business on, with a big technology component, but also of course, a consultancy part around business, but also design to make sure that we can deliver on our promise there. Where are we right now? We are around 120 people in size. We are active in all over Europe. We have an office in Utrecht, Lisbon, and starting out in Germany. But I think what's more important to give you like some insight in the cultural aspect is that we look back in time. In 2016, we were a company that was already like quite internationally focused from a business perspective, but we only had like one office in Utrecht. We had already like a lot of nationalities. So we were working international, but at that time, we did not have an international office yet. So from our Utrecht base, we decided we wanted to grow quicker. And we were looking exactly from, okay, what is a location we want to go to? From other businesses I'm involved in, I already had some experience in nearshoring and offshoring. But for Evident, I was really looking for a location where we could mix all the good things that we have in the Netherlands, also in a setting from an international sense. And because we are like an agile company working in an agile process and really working on an agile way in co-creation with our clients, I was also looking at a location where we really could collaborate with our new colleagues. So looking at a lot of locations, in the end, we came to Lisbon. And I think the most important reason was, of course, there is a lot of technical talent. The level of English is high. But even more important, if you want to work in an agile setting and you want to collaborate, people also need to be able to join each other. Of course, in COVID time, it's a little bit different. But pre-COVID, it was really important for us that people were able to join. And for me, the biggest question I always ask some of my employees is like, where do you want to go? And if I ask them, do you want to go to a specific location in Eastern Europe? Maybe they say yes once. But everyone I ask, okay, do you want to spend some time in Lisbon? They all say yes. And that makes the collaboration a lot of times. Question to people in Portugal, do you want to come to Utrecht? And I haven't heard one person say no yet. They all look forward to be able to travel again in the near future to meet each other. So we started our journey. And before starting our journey, we said, okay, we really want to create something special. If we want to create something special, we also need to take into account that we keep our culture alive. In Evident, we are really a value-driven company. So our values are really important. So we designed a set of values that we really want to implement. So we were not looking only for a nearshore location, but we really want to be an extension of the company that we already have. So we have our values from, we keep it clear, we have fun, we take ownership, and we are a community. But to be able to implement these values, you really need to look at, okay, what is the base that we're like building? What is the foundation of the things that we want to do? So we started our Evident Lisboa journey as really saying, okay, Evident Lisboa is becoming an extension of Evident Utrecht. And to be able to implement the right set of values and also the right set of cultures, we also looked at, okay, what agile and lean methodologies do we use at our clients? And can we also utilize those to make sure that we can implement it also in our own organization? I don't want to go full theoretical, but what I really like as a simple model is from old way of thinking. If people want to implement a culture, they were really looking for, okay, how can I present who we want to be? How can we show what culture drives the company, and really try to change the thinking of the people within the company. But I'm a more believer in an agile sense and in a lean sense where we say, okay, no, it's not about the culture per se, because the culture is the outcome. It's more like, okay, what is the behavior that we want people to show off? So if we really want to implement our environment and we really want to implement our values, we really need to look at, okay, what kind of behavior we need to show off straight from the beginning. So if we go back to our values, And currently we have a team of around 70 plus people in Lisbon. So it also grew quite quickly from 2016. So we really started from the very beginning is driving our values. So one of our values, like we are a community. So what does it say? We really wanted to build a relationship and trust between the two locations. So the first thing we did is really simple. Force one language. Speak English all the time. And that's very difficult, even for me. If we're in the office in the Netherlands, someone comes over and they start speaking Dutch, you really need to make the switch to English. It's also difficult for the Portuguese because they also like to speak Portuguese together, but we're always sitting together and say, okay, please speak English because we have now 21 nationalities. So we need to have like one language. But I think even more important is from day one, we said there is no difference between someone in Utrecht or Lisbon. Apart from the physical location, of course, but from the way of working, the way how we position ourselves to our clients, but also like how we build up the teams, there is no difference. Of course, during COVID, the physical location also went away and we all went remote, but I think that's very different than most companies, how they proceed in a nearshore situation. Another thing is like we spent a lot of time on onboarding. So if someone joined the company in Portugal, we straight away said, okay, please come over for a week to the Netherlands to experience our culture here, to meet all the people. And we did the same for the people that started out in Utrecht. Please go to Lisbon to experience our culture there. Travel was not allowed for the last 16 months. And that made onboarding of people very difficult. So we spent a lot of time to create an environment where we could do that online. But I'm actually really looking forward to have like people on board again in a physical sense, because I think that makes it a lot easier. Another thing is like create a great office environment. We have a really nice office in the Netherlands. And what I see with a lot of people that move abroad is that, and then they create like a very boring office in Lisbon, for example, where people are sitting. I think the environment is really important for making people happy. Even in the new sense, when people are like seeing the office in a different way, maybe it's becoming more of a clubhouse where people come to have like social gatherings or events with clients. I think it's really important to create an environment. So what you see on this screen here is like some pictures of our Lisbon office. We are located at Campo Pequeno. We have a nice rooftop. And what we really did is like create an environment where people not only come to work, but also where they come to socialize. We are now updating it for COVID to make it even more of a clubhouse feeling to go into. So building trust, building relationships is essential because we are that community. And we are not a community in Utrecht and Lisbon, but we are like one community as evident. Ownership, also very important for us. And I think the biggest mistake that people make in a sense where they start working in an international way is they see the external location not as an extension, but as a place to do certain kind of tasks. Well, we said straight away, no, there need to be a fair division of work. Not all the interesting work can take place in the Netherlands. No, the work needs to be divided in an equal way and be done by the talent that can do it in the best way possible. It also means that we are not only having like junior talent in Lisbon, but we also have like senior talent. Actually, we have senior talent that is also basically running some of our projects in a sense that the Lisbon office is in control over some of the client relationships. We also don't have a hard wall between our teams in Utrecht and our teams in Lisbon. Actually, everyone is in contact directly with the client and is very transparent, and they're also able to co-create with our clients because we see it as one team. Another thing, maybe a little bit interesting one. I think a lot of people were looking at these kind of screens with a lot of team meetings for like the last 16 months, but we really try to keep it clear. And that means that we are like really transparent. We always celebrate things together, but we also like discuss things when things go wrong. And that means that every month we are very transparent in sharing how we are doing as a company, what worked really well, what wins do we have, but also if things go wrong, we also discuss them very transparently. And I think that was in the beginning interesting situation, looking also at the Portuguese culture, because we really needed to stimulate also the Portuguese people to speak up. Because if people looked in the theory around cultures, the Dutch are very direct, sometimes a little bit too direct. But I really think that we could have like a support system where we make sure that we also give a podium to all the Portuguese people to speak up. So nowadays, these kind of update sessions really is a podium for everyone to like ask questions to me or the other leadership people, both based in Utrecht and Lisbon, to answer honestly how it's going in our business. Next to keeping clear, I think one of the most important parts is that work is such a big part of your life that also needs to have, we need to have fun. And I think the fun element is a big part of like the culture we're trying to build. And important things that we are here trying to do is like really mix cultures. And say, okay, we want to have like one culture that extends the Netherlands and also. So what we did is that we transferred some of the elements from the Portuguese to the Netherlands and from the Netherlands back. So if you look in the top corner, you see a sports team of Evident, and we're wearing Portugal jerseys. If you look in the bottom, you see Sinterklaas, which is a national holiday here in the Netherlands. A little bit similar as maybe Santa Claus around Christmas. I don't think the Portuguese children really understood that it was like the Dutch Sinterklaas coming by. Sinterklaas was also played one of our employees in this sense, but we are trying to transfer. Also for other big events, like we have normally we have our yearly skiing trip. We also don't make a difference between is someone a direct hire or is someone coming from a partner, is someone in Utrecht or is someone in Lisbon. No, we take everyone on the ski trip. And I think that was one of the really nice bonding experience where the whole company came together and were able to meet in person and really start building those relationships built on trust, but also built on friendship. For some of the Portuguese people, it was also the first time they saw real snow. So it was an exciting time. I was a bit worried about their skiing capabilities. So I really looked into our insurance policy to make sure that everything was going well. But in the end, they had a really nice time. So making sure that people bond and that you mix those cultures, I think it's the base and the foundation of really coming up with a good culture. Of course, this is not all like rocket science. But people sometimes ask me, okay, Ferry, why are you so transparent about how you collaborate with partners and how you collaborate in a situation with Lisbon? Are you not scared of competition? Are you not scared of people like maybe stealing some of the ideas? Well, actually, I'm not, because it is simple but not easy. So I'm absolutely sure that 80-90% of the companies that start a situation like this will not do these simple tasks to make sure they get a simple team. Because you should really not underestimate the investment in time and resources that is needed to build something great. I think it's also very important to find a partner that not only understands your culture, but that has a culture that overlaps. And for us, that's really that people are central, that you're looking for the long-term benefits of your people, and that you're really looking forward in how to deploy that. I think one thing, and I don't know if everyone will like this, also looking at the title, please stop calling it nearshore. Because nearshore is a very negative word in my sense. I don't think people like it, especially technical talent doesn't like the word. For me, it's more important that you create like international opportunities, that you create exciting work, that you create like challenges where people really have the ability to grow. It's all about the people, the talent, and the culture. And so let's please get rid of the nearshore word and find something else, because even nowadays in a remote world, I think it will become even more important to make sure that we create the right environment for people to become successful. So maybe like a few open doors, easy steps, but please take it from me. If you are able to make these kind of investments, please do. Because also looking at the COVID situation, we already heard, is that for us, the transition to fully remote was quite easy because we had the culture in place. And even last week, we had the first kind of like physical meeting again, and people that were onboarded in a virtual way already came to us and said, okay, we are part of this culture and we have that feeling. So please, hopefully you can take some of the things away from my presentation. I'm also, like I said, I'm transparent. If you have any questions, please connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email directly. And of course, I think we have a QA, so please ask me anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ferry. It was indeed a very, very good presentation that left us all with a smile, I believe, especially it's simple but not easy. And also about the concept of nearshore, we had already previously discussed that you don't like that concept so much, and I believe that's a really, really good point of discussion for our Q&A, because we can hear a little bit about that from different speakers today. But yeah, more and more, just giving a little bit of a touch base. more and more that remote work becomes something quite common and well spread to everywhere. The terms, it's not so important, but the glue and what we do with that. But maybe let's discuss this further.
Okay.
Do you want to say anything now?
Yeah, let's quickly. Don't get me wrong. I fully believe in the model. I believe in a model of like international delivery. I believe in a model where you need to find the talent where they're at and create an environment. It's more like it's an old word that has certain like things related to it, and I think we need to invent like the modern version of that word to come to like a new basis that fits the world that we're currently living in.
Yes, perfect. It's a very good point. But
I understand the point of Ferry, but Avient is also a special client. Okay, don't forget that. So I understand the way Ferry thinks and the way he put the term of nearshore, and I prefer to call it an international team. Okay.
Yeah. So, and yes, to also bring up, and thank you very much, Ferry, once again, for your client standpoint, your experience, and all your insights. And also now to bring a different perspective of a different type of working in nearshore technological projects. We would like to extend the concept of culture to a team environment or perspective. And for that, we will invite and bring up Pedro Esteves, who is the tech lead of one of our key nearshore projects. And he will also share his vision, experience in leading a team in this remote environment, fully remote environment of software development. Welcome, Pedro.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Inês. Let me share my presentation. Are you seeing my presentation?
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I'm Pedro Esteves. And my talk will be a brief sharing of experience and personal best practice in management culture as a delivery manager and leader in the nearshore project for our client AOS France. For me, all these points or all these experience are all based in three fundamental pillars: culture, people, and tools. They are, of course, they are meant as general guidelines and tips. As every remote team, not a nearshore team, I agree with Ferry. As its own specifics and needs. So this applies here, but maybe in another team or another project couldn't be applied. So I forget to share. So I will start with the first one. For me, it's the main one, because as we are a remote team, we need to communicate a lot. It's much easier to create a high-performing remote culture if everyone on the team understands the company's vision. Here in the project, we are always in real-time communication with all parties. For example, with the client, we are 8 hours per day. We are using, for example, Slack for that. And there we talk about everything as if we were all physically together in the same room. So we use the technology to pass that issue to be far away of the client. So the next one, of course, use the right tools and frameworks to be agile. The Scrum framework, for me, and all associated tools works perfectly in a remote project environment. Of course, some clients maybe don't have that mindset. So ensure that the client adopts also that mindset, and of course do the mentorship, helping them doing that transformation to that mindset. The third one, I can say, great culture starts with great onboarding. As also Ferry said, it's also very important to do an onboarding process. And for example, the Affinity, the client, and also the team culture should be reflected in all process within our operation, because we have the culture of the client, the culture, the Affinity, and of course the culture of our team. Here, for example, despite being a remote operation, we always try that the first day of the new member is spent together with the whole team. It generates empathy, knowledge of the person, etc. But it also serves for us to show how things are going, how we work, transmitting our vision, values, and rules inside the team. Of course, for me, as I started the project at the beginning, was for me very important to visit my client. Also, as Ferry said, it's getting to know the client company can be extremely positive. Knowing the people, knowing the culture, knowing the internal worker process, etc. Here during the early times of the project, I visit and work in the client 1 week per month. So, and for me, I think that's crucial when you are starting the remote operation. The 5-1, of course, because of this, a lot of communication and different people communicated, it's important also to appoint a local team lead as a single point of responsibility and main contact. The distributed teams encounter more organizational challenge and need a clear communication and aligned management structure. Here, that structure was implemented and is working very well. And I think it's vital having a local team lead and also one lead in the client side. We saw that it's also important in the client side, not just in the local team. But everyone can communicate each other. They are all free to communicate, and we push to do that. But in terms of responsibility, it's better to have one line. So the sixth one, promote an atmosphere of trust, safety, transparency, openness, continuous learning, and improvement. As I am saying always, we pass more time with work colleagues than our families. So that's why I always try to create the most familiar environment possible in the teams I lead. I'm saying also all for one and one for all mentality. It's very important to have that mentality. The results so far have been excellent, and the team also is very cohesive. The seventh one, of course, for me also this point was very important. Choose your team wisely, at least the core team. For me, it was very important to be part in the recruitment and keep in mind that you are going to embark on a project together, and it's essential that you trust in the team. And of course it's work methods. So at least if try to participate in the recruitment of the core team, because they will be your right, left, second head, and so on. I think it's very important at this point. The 8 points, of course, from my experience working in IT market, this point, manage the expectations. It's always a point that needs to be part of the formula. The lead has to manage the expectations of the team as a whole, but also individually, and also the expectations of the company, in this case the Affinity, and also the client. So the lead needs to connect all the dots of this project. In the 9 point, of course, it's also, as we are growing the team, it's also important to keep up the feedback loop. Here, all team members have the opportunity to comment on things like motivation, satisfaction within the technology stack, factors with influence their performance, positively, negatively, and of course, what are their ambitions. Affinity also has annual employee performance evaluation, which contributes significantly to the overall atmosphere. Also that motivation and employee retention. Also this retention, it's important to focus in a remote team, because as we are working on the project during the time, also the know-how is increasing. So it's very important to at maximum retain the team members. Okay. The 10 point for me, of course, as a lead, I need to resource and mentor to make sure my team has all the skills, tech and soft skills they need to get the work done with quality. Another one, as we are tech guys, of course, it's important that the team members, when everything goes well and the client is happy, receive recognition for that. And my experience shows that recognition for a particular performance stimulates the team members to give their best in favor of the project. And finally, have fun. Drink a beer, drink a coffee with with your team. In a health work environment, all team members need to have that opportunity to recharge and relax, to know each other, not just talking about work. A company's culture based on fun and team building activities leads to more productive and satisfying work, which is so important for a remote team as for any other. And it's all. Thanks all for listening to me, and I will be wait for some questions later.
You're muted, Inês.
Inês, you are muted.
Yeah, muted.
Sorry, everyone. I don't know if you were looking at me moving my lips without voice, but here we go again. Thank you, Pedro. Congratulations for the great work you do, you and your team, that I believe will be here, or are here supporting you and listening to your presentation. If anyone joined us before the start, I would say that, again, thank you for being here, and thank you for our Affinity players, Evident, AICEP representatives that are here, our current clients, also some of our former employees registered in this webinar, and it's always good to count with you and to walk side by side in these events, in these occasions. So thank you all. And to close the presentations, and then we move to our Q&A, I will now invite Carlos Correia, our CEO, to share with us some hows, whys, when to go for an IT partnership. Welcome, Carlos. Welcome to our digital stage, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Inês. I asked for the coffee exactly in the right moment, so sorry.
Perfect.
Well, so once again, good morning, everyone. I've been listening to my fellow speakers. It has been interesting so far, so I'm going to give my best to maintain the quality of the talk. So as I say my name, but I'm going to share first the presentation. My name is Carlos. I'm the founder and CEO of Affinity. And this morning, just to manage the expectation, I'm here more like as an ambassador of Portugal, Portugal as a technological country, but not only, as said Philomène, we have a lot of qualities than the technological part. And I'm also here to represent all the sector, the industry of technologies in Portugal. Okay. Saying that, my goal is very simple this morning. I'm going to try, I'm going to answer to simple questions. But we have listened to Philomène about Portugal. We have listened to Ferry about his experience and the way he loves the Portugal and the way he built an international team, not a nearshore team. And we have also had the testimonial in the first hand of Pedro, who worked with us for several years in another context, in another project, in another culture with a French client. So I'm going to be the most agnostic as possible for you to help you decide to choose not only the country, but also your nearshore partner. Saying that, I'd like to have a few words whether maybe all the small companies, the startup companies that are here this morning in the audience, or maybe may hear the recording of this webinar. It will be available on our channels, YouTube, and so on in the next days and in the next weeks. I'd like to speak for you, for all the leaders of small and startup companies, about the challenge and the opportunity to have an nearshore partner. One of the greatest things to have an international team is to have a nearshore operation or to nearshoring one or several projects is to have a lot of flexibility. When you start a company, an idea, product, etc., I have also this experience because I myself launched Affinity in 2012, almost 10 years ago. Well, in the beginning, we're in the middle of process of the trying, of testing with the errors, trying to adapt the product or our service to the market. So it's somehow to have a lot of change in that moment of time of your company. So an nearshore partner gives you all this flexibility. In another hand, in the beginning of a company, of an idea, an entrepreneurial idea, it's normal to be more focused on, to developing business, to prospect and to win new clients, to look also for other investors to invest in my idea, in my company. So the nearshore partnership gives you all this flexibility. And finally, it's also important in the beginning of a company to maintain the fixed costs as low as possible. And the nearshore partnership gives you this flexibility to manage well the fixed cost and the variable costs. Well, so now I would like to speak for all the small and medium companies in the audience and all the leaders that may be thinking about, why not doing like as Ferry and Evident that so far 5 years ago launched a nearshore operation or to nearshoring some of my projects. And why? For small and medium companies, it's very interesting. It's a nice idea to bet on this model because it gives you an alternative to hire and to have other sourcing channels in your company. You can have a nice mix between your local teams and your nearshore teams. Once again, it's always one single team. For a SMB company, it's also very interesting because you are more worried and focused on winning new projects. So you can adapt your staffing, your hiring capabilities, depending of the growing of the project, depending of the growing of your business. If you grow fast, you hire more. If you grow less, you hire less. Okay, or you contract. In that case, you contract less. And in other hand, it may be interesting for you to have a relationship with an nearshore company because you will be capable to have some competitive advantage. Like for example, you will have more speed in developing your products. You can deliver more projects. You can have more quality. You can also have a better price at the end. Why not? Okay. And at the end, you may be able to grow faster than the competition. Then, large companies. This also may be interesting for these reasons. Normally, large companies deals with local teams, but normally most of them have also offshore operations. Betting in a nearshore partner and in a nearshore operation may be also a good idea, a clever idea to mitigate the risk of your business. As you see, we have been facing a crisis, the COVID crisis in the last 18 months so far. And it's having an alternative more closer to your country in a nearshore country, like, for example, Portugal, maybe interesting to manage the change, manage the distance, because sometimes it's quite a challenge to manage smoother the cultural difference, the communication, etc., etc. For also large companies investing in an nearshore partner, in an nearshore operation, will be a good way to grow fast your business. And why not reaching the number one of your sector, of your industry? Okay. So I think you have here some very good reasons, okay, but there will be more for you to think and evaluate nearshoring an operation or nearshoring one or a few projects in your company. So let's continue, okay. Well, let's continue. 1 minute again. Okay, good. So now we'd like to know, well, Carlos, but do you have some a tool or a model to help me to choose an nearshore partner? Yes, so I'm going to share with you some insights that comes from all of our experience and my personal experience in helping clients in Holland, in France, in Denmark, developing their nearshore operation in Portugal. But before that, I will strongly recommend you, before selecting and launching a process of choosing a nearshore partner, it's before of that, it's choosing your destination. Okay, because why? Because well, it's I think maybe what I'm going to say is quite intuitive in terms of management. But if you need to change your IT partner locally, well, it takes time, it takes money, but you can do it quite, I would say, easily. If you want to change a nearshore partner, for example, if Ferry, we hope not, decides tomorrow to change Affinity in Portugal, well, it would be hard, would take time, money, energy, but, well, it would be done in a couple of months, I think. But if you take the wrong way around in choosing the country of your nearshore operation, well, it will take a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, bad nights sleeping to choose the country. So I think it works to take time in your process to select first the destination of your nearshore operation. And the first thing I would like to strongly recommend you, of course, at the end you decide it's first to think about the cultural fit and the cultural alignment between your country where you are, Denmark, Germany, so on, and the destination country of your potential nearshore partner. This is, for me, probably the most important thing, okay? And normally, it's the most neglected part of the process because it's very rare, evident, as we saw, it's quite an exception. It's very rare that the client in the beginning of the process takes time, well, to understand, well, is my culture, the culture of my country, close to the culture of Portugal, for example. And I'd like to, for this, and to help you doing this, I'd like to share with you a methodology. It's not my methodology. I copied. Just 1 second. I copied from a colleague, Adrienne Maya, is an American woman in that case, and she's also a teacher in AICEP Business School. Okay, and she develops with some colleagues a methodology to evaluate the culture or the main characteristics of the culture of a country. You can see this on this slide. So Erin develops 8 scales of evaluation from, for example, communication. Am I dealing with a low context communication or high context? For example, in the case of Holland, okay, it's a high context. It means that it's normally people that are very direct in terms of feedback. Another scale, very interesting, it's the evaluating scale that goes from direct negative feedback or indirect negative feedback. The persuading scale, it's the way you are going to convince your partner, your client, that we should be this way or another way. How do they do that? For example, in Portugal. In Portugal, we are in the left of the scale, for example. What about the living scale? Am I living with a country where there is an egalitarian scale approach or a more hierarchical approach? For example, Holland, it's clearly on the right-left of the scale. Portugal is more, as you see, in the middle. We are a little more hierarchical, but just a little more. Then the deciding scale. How do I take decisions on one project? I want to choose another technology, another platform. How do I deal with my teams to convince them that we should take this technology or another technology? Then, what about the trust and scale? We have been speaking about the culture. Culture is a lot about trust between peoples of different nationalities. What are the main characteristics, for example, in France? How do we develop trust in France? How do we develop trust in Portugal? And then you can also have there the disagreeing scale. It is a more confrontational or a more avoiding confrontation culture. For example, in Portugal, we are in the left of the scale. And finally, you have also the scheduling scale. That means the way we plan meetings, we plan to send a report, we plan to deliver the project. It's a more flexible time or a more linear time. For example, Germany are strictly linear. If you tell them, well, the webinar it's at 9:30 o'clock, we'll start the webinar at 9:30 o'clock. In Portugal, well, it's maybe 9:35, 9:40 normally, okay? So if you want to know more about this, well, the first thing I would recommend, it's the lecture of this book of Ferry and Maya, of course. I don't win any royalties about that. Erwin is not paying me at all for speaking about the book. You can also go online to the sites of the company of Erwin to know more. You can also ask for help to help her to ask her to help you to analyze what about the culture of Portugal, or of the country I'm thinking about working with. So I hope I convince you about the importance, not only me, but all my previous speakers and colleagues in this webinar, about the importance of the cultural fit and the cultural alignment. Then I'd like to, and I'm going to pass more quickly because Philomène has also speak about that in our presentation. I'm going to share with you some more criteria that you should think and you should analyze to understand or to clarify, well, what is the best country for me to work with? For example, you should analyze is there a competitive IT ecosystem or not? The travel distance. What about the ranking of the best engineering? Philomène, I told you that in Portugal, for example, we have strongly and very good levels of engineering schools. What about the graduates of the country? For example, let me share with you that in Portugal, we have between 7,000 to 10,000 new graduates every year. So it's quite good to have a sourcing channel quite smooth. The level of English proficiency, we have spoken about this. The social stability, I think it's also important because normally we are in the competition with other geographies in Europe, and sometimes the stability is not so strong as we have in Portugal, for example. To mention the other countries, of course, because it wouldn't be fair. What about the infrastructure in terms of telecommunication? Philomène also spoke about that, so I'm going to move forward. The tax incentives, the time zone. Portugal has between 1 hour to 2 hours in terms of time zone for the main capitals in Europe, France, Holland, Germany, Denmark, for example. One thing that is also interesting, and normally no one mentioned, and we have good examples in our relationships with nearshore clients. It's to check if in your company you have someone from the country. For example, check before taking your decision or analyzing the destination if you have someone from Portugal, because we have seen very good examples. For example, in the project where Pedro works, they have Portuguese in the team. Well, and it helps in some details, normally about culture difference. So it helps us to maximize success of the team, of the international team. And finally, of course, don't neglect the price, the competitiveness of the market. But I put it on purpose in the last point of my presentation, because I think it's not important, but it's not the most important. First, and in my opinion, you have to check all the other points and then analyze the price. Because if you check positively all the other points, well, it will cost much less than only evaluating or mainly evaluating just with the price and the rate card of the country. So I hope you are following me so far. Inês, everything's fine this side? Yeah. We continue? Oh, Inês is having a short rest. So I'm continuing, okay? Then, and to conclude, joking, Inês, and to conclude, I'd like to share a model that we have been developing with all the experience, dozens and dozens of process with new nearshore clients that are interested working with, in that case, with Affinity, but you can use it for another company in Portugal or in another country if you prefer. So I'm going to share with you a model, some kind of a matrix of criteria to help you select on the first time the best or the most suitable partner for your needs. So it's not a surprise. I hope so. At that time of the webinar, the first thing you may evaluate, or I strongly suggest you, is to evaluate the cultural fit between your company and the partner company. Okay, we have seen the different aspects of the culture in a country, and in that case, it's my recommendation is to evaluate the corporate values of your company and the corporate values of the company you are working with. And of course, it's also quite, I'd say it's obvious for me, for example, that you have also to evaluate the personality of the team or the guys that you are going to work with tomorrow. Okay, so how do you do this? Well, it's old school, meeting them, going to Portugal, going to Holland, going to Germany, for example, around a meeting room and know each other. Have a lunch, have a dinner to share experience, to share what about our dreams? How do we see the world? And the closest to culture you can find, and you can testimony between your team and the team of your partner, well, the best for the future, and it will maximize the probability of success of the international team, of the nearshore team. Then let me share other points. I would say more tangible points of the matrix to evaluate the initial partner. Of course, evaluate the history of the company. What about them, for example, from the last 10 years? How did they grow? How do they move in the market? Are they ambitious? Or not, for example? Also, I think it's quite obvious you have to evaluate the initial reference of the company. Speak with one or two clients, for example. Have a call. And speak about how was the experience with the initial partner. The same thing with the team, the consult. Tomorrow, you may work with their consultants, so speak with them, 1, 2, or 3. For example, we are in the middle of a process with a German company, and they asked us to speak with two guys, and it was very nice because they share in a transparent way. What about working with, for example, in that case, with Affinity? Another point that may be interesting, well, I think it can be relevant depending of the team you want to build or the operation you want to build. For example, if you want to build a 5 consultant operation, well, it's one thing. If you want to build a 50 consultant operation, it's another thing. So validate the headcount and more important, how it evaluates year after year. Then it's also, this point is also related to the previous one. It's how do they hire? What are the hiring process? It's a regional process, it's a national process, or it's a global process. For example, Affinity hires nationally, but also globally. Okay, because we have understood so far with all this learning during this COVID period that we can work quite smoothly in the world, depending on the time zone, naturally. What about the extension of the talent database of the supplier? Is it small? Is it medium? Is it big? Well, because it's a guarantee that if they don't have the team available internally, they can hire quite quickly because they have a nice database or a very good database or not. Then you should also have a nice discussion with the tech guys of the company. What about the technological capacity? Do they develop also products? They have a product division or not? Do they use, what kind of technology they use for their own use? In terms of working methodologies, have a strong discussion about, well, how they work in one project, 2 projects, not only with clients, but also internally in the company. Then, we have also spoken about that. What about the quality of what we call the employee experience? In terms of recruitment, in terms of onboarding, in terms of engagement, what about the trainings? What about the spreading of the knowledge? What about the fun? Is there fun? It's just work or there is more than work, for example? Then one thing for me that is really, really important, it's the relationship with local universities. If you have a partner that has a strong brand in the local universities, it's quite a guarantee that you'll be able to hire easily in the market, or a little more easier. What about the office location? What are they close to airports? Sometimes it can be interesting to be quite close to the airport if you want to, as Pedro and Ferry said, it's important that there are travels between all the team in the client destination and in the nearshore destination. So, well, I would say it's easier, I would say, to not rush so many times in travels, okay? Because if you take one day to go there, well, Jean, you have to go to the client. Why 1 day of traveling? It's not so easy. So take care about this. Security practice. I think this period we are still facing, have shown us that we have to take care of the security part, in terms of access to the office, in terms of access to the information, in terms of access of the local system of the partner, the system of the client. How do they manage that? Okay, and it's more critical when working in a cloud base, because you have to make sure that just the right person access to the right information. Then other, I would say, obvious points. Well, have a look about the financial solidity. Well, I will strongly recommend to you to choose a partner for the next 5 years and not for the next 5 months. Okay, so take a look about that. And least but not least, what about the competitive, the pricing? Are they competitive or not? And once again, in my opinion, it's not the most important, but because I'm going to repeat myself, but I think it's important. If you check positively all the previous points, once again, it will cost much less than if you just make a survey based or mainly based on the pricing part. Okay, so I am in the final part. Well, once again, it was very nice for me to be here to share with you with all of you in this webinar, and maybe all the people that are going to see the recording the next days to share our experience and the experience of our clients, of our people, but also of our country with AICEP Portugal. As a conclusion, if you have to just keep one idea of all the things I've shared with you, it's and we have spoken about this mainly in the presentation of Ferry and Pedro, it's to be transparent, to be clear about the culture of the nearshore team, about the culture of the international team. I think it has to be, as the Ferry insisted and referred, that it's the best of the culture of both countries. For example, in that case, the best of the culture of Holland and Portugal. And then share with the team. We are going to plan in this way. We are going to have fun in that way. We are going to decide and take decisions this way. We are going to, well, whatever in the scales I have spoken about in my previous slide, and share with the team. And after that, well, I think we'll be much more prepared to make your initial operation or the nearshoring of your project a success. So it's my, I hope so. And I'm, well, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your attention. I also be for the part of the questions you may have. And I share also my email. If you want to go deeper, if in one point, one idea, well, one question, please send it to me. You also have my LinkedIn. You can chat, send me an SMS on my LinkedIn. I will be happy to help you. Okay, Inês, the voice is yours again. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm sorry, earlier my micro was not working. I didn't come fast enough, but anyway, you moved on. Perfect. And now let's move on to some questions. We have a few here. So I'd like to ask all speakers to join me again here. And let's check here some questions. I think this one is a really good one to start, and that will be mostly for Ferry, but I believe it's a good question for all of you if you want to touch base on this question. So how can culture be a glue in remote environments? Ferry, can you give us your perspective?
To be really honest, I think that's the $1 million question that everyone has at the moment. Of course, things are in flux, things are still changing. But what our experience is in the last 16 months is it's not that much different if you're like remote or not remote. I do think that we don't foresee as a company as Evident a fully remote situation because we believe that a physical presence close to our clients, but also close to the talent is essential. Because I think people will always have a need to meet each other in person and also like celebrate things, but also sometimes in person it's also easier to do knowledge sharing, have like creative sessions. But I think every person has a need to also meet people. So how will culture be the glue for a remote situation? I think it will need to be in balance between remote and in a physical sense. And I think as a company, you need to pay extra attention that now that things are changing and some of the people are coming back to the office, that you don't forget that a larger population is still remote. So the world will never be the same. And I think you need to come up from a unified strategy where you look also from a culture, from a remote and physical sense. But I think everyone is experimenting at the moment and nobody knows what the perfect answer is.
That's true. And
totally
there's
agree.
never a perfect answer, but go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, it's a triannual process. You start with a square of how you are going to be doing this. And then you have to be aware and pay attention with the team, the insights, how the teams evaluates and, well, refine it all over the months, all over the years. I think it's a never-ending process.
Pedro, do you want to give us a little bit of your experience and opinion?
I agree with Ferry. As for my experience until now with this COVID thing, Before, for example, for me, I was traveling to the client to France 1 week per month, and I enjoy that. As we are people needs to be in contact. We have already 16 months remotely, and of course the projects technically and all the process they work perfectly. It's not a question of if it works or not, but in terms of people, we need to have physical relationships. So I think the future will be a mix of remote and for sometimes the teams will meet in some physical spaces, and we are seeing already that some American companies, tech companies, they are working in the last 5 years remotely, and they have 1 time or 2 times in a year. They do the company retreats in some countries, and they are all together 1 week. I agree with that, and I think it's the way that we'll do in the future for sure.
And so, because this one comes a little bit in line with the previous one, so what would you say are the biggest challenges in working with teams that are divided in, especially in international locations? Because we work in technology, as all of you mentioned, so it's not something 100% new. But in Nearshore, we are talking about actual locations that are not even the same country; they are completely international locations. So, what would you say are the biggest challenges in this sense?
For me, I think the main issue is time zone. The time zone, because, for example, it's just 1 hour here from Portugal, and the difference from Portugal and France. But for example, they started at 8 here, and the team, it's impossible to start 8 a.m. here. So we start at 9 here in Portugal. So it's already 10 in France.
Especially in that case, this client is the early worker. So
exactly.
It's more aggressive.
Exactly. So imagine if you are working, for example, with Brazil, it's 5-6 hours. So I think it's one of the main issues, the time zone, and the other, as we spoke, it's the culture fit. I think it's the culture of a country, because that will influence the trust. Okay. If the people, they are professionally, if we can trust in them. So when you have a lot of remote teams, I think it's a main issue.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something, Carlos. Philomène, you had...
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Inês. Maybe I would just add, we always work with international teams for many years in different models. But what changed recently is the need to speed up some process. And in this case, you need to be closer to your clients, to your suppliers, because with the COVID situation, we have the digital transition we need to do in one year, maybe what we plan to do in 2 or 3 years. And it's easier to do that. So that's main challenges. So it's easier to do it when you are in the same time zone, when you are 2 hours flight distance from your clients or from your suppliers. So I think that was the main challenge. And we have seen that with several clients that have teams far away from Europe, and they needed to get back this function closer to the headquarters and to speed up the change and to implement it in all the operation. So I think that's the main difference, and what we have seen in some decision and some trends in terms of reshoring some activity closer to the headquarters or to the central operation.
Ferry, do you want to give us also your point of view?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for like how I look at it is the development of a new generation of leadership and managers. Because I think what we forget is that the world changed so much, and I think remote working also had like a lot of benefits, productivity increase, less traveling for people, more time also to have like a good work-life balance. But what we are forgetting is that it's also a big transition for how management and leaders within companies need to handle those kind of situations. And especially now when you go more to an environment where you try to combine the best of those two worlds, I think we need to educate and help and coach the leaders of tomorrow to make sure that they are capable of handling this new context. And I think there's like a big gap also both from a practical sense, from where the companies can step in, but also from the universities is helping re-educate the whole workforce on how to handle this new situation. And of course, it's all new. Nobody has the answer yet. It will be a big challenge for the upcoming years.
So more towards what we can do in terms of leadership and organization, rather than fixing or stating what is the differences or what is the distance between physical or culture between countries, right?
Yeah. We can't change the past. We only can change the future. And to make sure that we can like create the perfect future, I think we need to take control of our own destiny, and make sure that we can do that in a way where we can improve everyone's life, both from a business sense and also from a people sense.
Yeah,
it's actually for me it's a great opportunity. Professionally speaking, business speaking, personally speaking, ambientally speaking, and we are in the early beginning of each of us, each company, each sector to reach the perfect mix. But I only see positive things about all this, and one of the best things it's to know people from countries I wouldn't imagine it 10 years ago, for example. Some of them becoming our friends. And it's a positive circus. And at the end, it's a very benefit for the people in the companies and the company itself.
Yeah.
But we have to change, of course.
Philomène, from your experience, is technology one of the sectors that most attract international companies to Portugal?
Yes, the tech hub, competence center, engineering have been the most dynamic sector, activity sectors in terms of attracting foreign direct investment in the last years. When we look at all the projects that we have been working with, for sure software engineering, but engineering also, not only in software, and have been the most dynamic and the highest number of projects in this area. And also not only to have a tech hub to develop new project, but some research and development. And it's a new trend. We have seen a lot of companies that want to come there to develop local teams, to partnership with a local university, and to do research and development. And it wasn't so evident, I will say, obvious in the last 10 years or even in 5 years. But now we see that, and they want to identify in university which university are working in specific areas. For instance, one of these are artificial intelligence. Everyone want to use artificial intelligence in different sectors of activity, so they are very keen to look at what is done in the university, to identify startups, as I mentioned, startup as a source of innovation. What kind of startup are acting in some specific areas, and so for sure, yes, Portugal have been attracting more and more tech projects and competence center in a high value added activity in the last years. Great. And that's why the talent is the main issue. And Carlos summarized pretty well how to choose the right partner and the right location. And first, it's talent.
Yeah.
And talent is culture also.
good times ahead for technology and for Portugal, we believe, we hope. We have a really good question to finish that maybe will give us a little bit more discussion. So, and it's a little in line to what we discussed before, that would be good to bring here to the Q&A. So Ferry, instead of nearshore, what would be the best term to use from now on? What would be the word that represents the new nearshore activity? So pretty much, how would you replace the word nearshore, and why maybe this word, it's not maybe the best word for you to talk about, well, this activity, this IT.
Really, really good question. I actually don't know what the right word should be. I think only there should be a better emphasis on talent, and especially in this remote world where borders are no longer there, and we need to be able to like work where the talent is, and also like get the right talent together to deliver what's possible. I think it should be more focused on the talent aspect than on the shoring element, where it comes from, like from outsourcing and that perspective. So hopefully the person that asked that question has like a good answer, or like Pedro, Carlos, or you guys have like a good answer for that.
But Ferry, but your even if you don't want, you always have the physical aspect of the geography. Would you, for example, would you work with I don't know, with a guy in São Paulo? With 5 hours, Pedro spoke about the time zone issue. Well, to maintain the good communication between the teams, would you work with them, with a Brazilian team on a regular basis?
On this specific, no, but like at this specific moment, no, because like I said, I want to be close where my clients are, and I want to be close where the talents are. Let's say as we go as an international company and we get interest in other parts of the world, it makes sense to like deploy that same strategy in that way, and then it would make sense. So you need to like adjust your decisions and adjust your strategy also based on your business model. There's no one size fits all. So at this moment, I fully agree. I would say no. In the future, maybe.
So at some point you want to be near, close, right?
For sure, that's the only part I like about the word. Let's I agree on that.
I think it will be a long discussion.
Philomène and Pedro, do you wanna add something?
The problem with the nearshore words is not the problem with the words, it's how it was used in the past. In the past, nearshore location is to reduce cost. So it's not the word, it's the when we speak about nearshore, well, we want a location to reduce costs. And what we need to change is to how we use nearshore location, nearshore destination has high talented tech-up destination and not a cost-oriented destination. So I think the words, it's okay, because as Carlos say, we want to be near the clients, near the talent. But what we want,
it's a good opportunity for us to identify a new term. Yeah, do you see what I mean?
Brainstorming.
Okay.
After
have
a brainstorming session. Maybe we'll invite Fernando to be part of it. Fernando was the one that wrote the question.
I really think that's a good good analysis. I might agree that it's not the word; it's what the word reflects in people's mind.
Sure.
And I think we can change that.
Yeah, by the examples, the new examples, the new trends.
Yes. Yes, in the end, words are what we
want to express.
What they make us feel, and and maybe this is something we should change. More focused on the talent, as you said, Philomène, and less on the
cost.
Cost perspective. Yes, perfect. Do any of you want to add anything else before we close?
So it was a very nice moment. Well, over my expectation, actually, and well, thanks again for everything from you, Inês, Pedro, Philomène, and Ferry. Okay, so Ferry, now you can go to your new journey. Okay.
Yeah, no. So thanks for the opportunity to speak about this topic. I think it's a very important topic, and for me, the most important part is that I'm looking forward again to coming to Portugal. It's been a while to the COVID, but hopefully soon there's also a possibility to meet each other in person again. So thank you.
Yes, hopefully soon, Ferry. Yes, we will be delighted to receive you. And
thank you, Inês. Thank you, Carlos, and Pedro, all the Affinity team. And Ferry, it was a pleasure. And thank you again to help to promote Portugal and to demonstrate what we are and what we can do more in the future from Portugal. It was a great opportunity.
Okay. Thank you also all, and it was a pleasure.
As we close our event today, I would like to once again thank you all for your interest, attendance, participation. A big thank you to our speakers, Philomène, Ferry, Pedro, and Carlos. Thank you for your valuable insights and for deconstructing this subject. Because I believe it's by deconstructing and better understanding how things work that we are able to tell a story and tell a good narrative from different points of view, and better assess how culture impacts decision making when choosing a nearshore partner, and how to create bridges towards prosperous. Sorry, this term is difficult. Relationships. Don't hesitate to get in contact after the webinar for any feedback, business queries that you may have. Also, feel free to follow us on our online platforms for any updates and news. And that's it from our side. Wishing you a great day and week ahead. And thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
As a Nearshore partner, we intend to be a strategic hand that helps saving time, effort, and money to any business that might need support with IT-related matters.
Okay.
And there are plenty of reasons why Portugal is the perfect place to settle your nearshore activities. With a receptive and open culture, quality education, high communication skills and English proficiency, technical expertise, innovation capacity, competitiveness, and if this is not enough, just imagine your business travels to the sunny European gem. So how do we work? We follow an effective process to identify, recruit, assemble, train, and monitor highly competent teams adapted to the project uniqueness. First, we pinpoint your need. Then, we start the recruitment process based on our own developed software. Key work: screening and sourcing our talent database and carrying out a thorough process of validation for technical and soft skills. Once we're confident, the official proposal is made, and you have now the chance to analyze and provide feedback. We listen, adjust, and propose the team which will better fit your requirements. Then, there is another moment of feedback from you. We perform any necessary adjustments, and once all is set and ready, the project starts off. Our operation is extended to the areas of training, certification, and career management. Teams and individuals have full support from our side, and you can choose to expand or reduce the team at any time as the project evolves. Simple, efficient, and hassle-free. Affinity, a lifetime experience.